After working 25 years as a firefighter and paramedic, Martin Lesperance has treated thousands of injuries and medical emergencies. Now retired, Martin is a popular safety speaker, sharing his experiences with workers in order to prevent injuries. As a former EMT, Martin knows that the majority of injuries occur off the job and has developed this presentation to encourage all workers to take safety home.
Thank you. I'm going to tell you a story that sounds almost unbelievable. But on July 14th in the year 2000, in the city that I live in, a few friends went out to the bar. And how long they spent in the bar, I don't know. But I'll bet it was quite a while, because here's why. Later on that night, they ended up on the 11th floor of an apartment building. They were standing next to a garbage chute. Now, the garbage chute is just like a long drop that takes all your garbage down to the basement. If you're on the 11th floor, that's a long drop. One of them says, "Who wants to take a ride down?" One of his friends takes up the challenge, and down he goes. His friends race to the bottom. They get to the bottom, and there's his friend, and he's dead. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, wow, that's a sad story, but this is a job site safety meeting. What does this have to do with safety? Well, it has everything to do with safety. You see, that guy didn't make it into work the next day or any other day. I don't know how safe of a worker he was at work, but his poor decisions that day not only cost him his life, but it devastated the lives of his loved ones. You see, preventing this type of needless tragedy has everything to do with safety. See, safety is not just a workplace issue. There are a lot of people who don't make it into work because of off-the-job injuries. Now, in 25 years working as a firefighter and paramedic, I know I've attended more off-the-job injuries than on-the-job injuries, and it's easy to understand why. We spend more time away from work than we do at work. And also, at the work site, there's certain safety rules and regulations that we follow, or at least we should be following, but at home, anything goes. And after all, who's going to come down on you? Well, this may seem like a newsflash to some of you, but it shouldn't take someone else hounding you about your safety to keep you from killing yourself. That should be your own responsibility. And yet, so many people just don't get it, especially when they're off the job. Just to give you an idea how big of a problem off-the-job injuries are, well, I do a lot of speaking for companies for their safety talks. And some of these companies are starting to monitor their off-the-job injuries. And what they've noticed is that some of them have 10 times more off-the-job injuries than on-the-job injuries. One company noticed that they had 20 times more off-the-job injuries than on-the-job injuries. That's 20 times more loss of income. That's 20 times more impact on families and 20 times more pain and suffering. I think I know a reason why this happens. You see, at the work site, you could take a person who would refuse to use a ladder because of his unsafe condition, but yet that same person, maybe the person that goes home, drinks 6 beer, fires up the chainsaw, stands on top of the stool and attempts to cut the branches down in the tree in his backyard. At the workplace, we wear our personal protective equipment. When we drive company vehicles, we wear our seat belts. And when we're at work, we follow the proper safety procedures that are in place. But on Friday afternoon, we take our hard hats, our steel-toe boots, and our safety knowledge. We put them in the locker at work, we close that locker, we go home, and is never to be seen or used again until we're back at work Monday morning. After dealing with a lot of injuries, I know one thing for sure. A broken leg hurts just as much if you fall off a ladder at home when you're reaching for something as it does when you fall off of a ladder at the work site. And if you cut off 3 fingers with a circular saw, it's going to cost and it's going to disrupt your life just as much if it happened at the work site compared to if it happened at home. And heaven forbid, if you make a poor decision and you get yourself killed, it doesn't really matter to your family if it happened on the job or if it happened off the job. The problem is it happened. You're dead, and that's going to hurt a lot of people. There seems to be a gap between the safety attitude and safety practices between on the job and off the job. Let's try to narrow that gap. Let's try to close that gap. Now, I think one of the main reasons people get hurt off the job is that they fail to think of the repercussions of their actions, and they fail